We're back in this beautiful Mauritius. The timing is perfect once again. If you look at the background of what is happening globally at the moment, sort of, trade wars, on-off tariffs, implications for Africa.
So it's important we continue to have this conversation because the growth of Africa is our responsibility.
And as we know, increasingly in the Western world and in Mauritius as well, we have an aging population.
We should be happy that people are living longer and therefore their pensions need to live as long as them.
Which means the pressure is there to find better alternative investments.
Tout le monde dit que les 50 prochaines années, le développement va se passer en Afrique. Il faut que ce soit avec les Africains. Et pour que les Africains participent, il leur faut des capitaux, il leur faut du financement.
There is, of course, specialized institutions that are Africa-owned that get the capital investment from the pension funds, and then those institutions deploy that capital into Africa.
What we do at TDV, Asset Management, we provide that dollar to the African bank with African pension money, which means that the African bank in Nigeria doesn't need to borrow money from Europe, but borrows money from an African institution. They can do that. So therefore, the African pensions have the opportunity to participate in the finance of the real economy. The money sort of stays within Africa.
Et c'est ce que nous avons fait en Côte d'Ivoire. En plus de la sécurité sociale des travailleurs du secteur formel, on a étendu au secteur informel, que nous transformons en investissement, soit à la bourse, soit dans un investissement alternatif, l'immobilier, faire en sorte que le logement devienne un droit pour tout le monde.
Pension funds are bringing the funds to be invested in those areas which not only brings good returns to the investors but also brings economic development for the people of those countries.
You build a bridge, let's say a bridge costs $1 billion, right? You have to build the whole bridge for it to be useful. If you build a telecom tower and each one, $1 billion of telecom towers and each one costs $100,000, each time you finish one, that is a piece that is productive on its own, it's got its and it's working already. If you stop for a year to stop building, those that you built are already working. So this is important to think about when we talk about infrastructure. When managing risk, it's the cash flow management so that we can meet the obligations of the fund. And then secondly, to ensure that we can roll out that infrastructure in a way that is granular and fractional enough so that each piece of it can be more valuable and useful.
So the appetite is there because we keep talking about the infrastructure gap, funding gap, which people are estimating in the region of 63 to 150 billion northwards.
As a result of the new breed of leaders who are coming into the space, we're starting to see capital shifting towards the alternative space.
Il faut garantir les retraites. Et il faut éviter qu'une partie importante des fonds soit mise dans la bourse qui, elle peut à tout moment être volatile.
And the investment teams that are in place now, you can see even in terms of how they do their due diligences, governance around investment decisions, how they craft their investment strategies or policy statements. There's a frame.
Because at the end of the day, this is the savings of the working population of each country. So, they have to be deployed in a very responsible and a very sustainable way. But it has to reflect the reality of these countries.
But with everything happening in the US is putting America first, and you can't blame them for that. What Africa then needs to do is how can we help ourselves?
So all of that combination, economic growth, the demographics that's growing, the natural resources which are abundant, the borders that are now coming down. So you have the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. We are still at a stage of development where we need to address access to electricity, roads, health.
I think the challenges for the next sort of maybe decade, I think is how do we mobilize the capital that is sort of locked within pensions and insurance company to finance real sort of assets in Africa.
There's a huge supply of capital available. The question is just directing it into the right environment.
If you look at the quantum of pensions across Africa, it's enough to propel economic development in Africa. I think it's a conversation that the practitioners in the industry and the politicians and the political leaders needs to sit down and discuss.
Parce que le plus difficile aujourd'hui pour les entreprises, c'est l'endettement. Les entreprises qui se financent par l'endettement avec des taux qui peuvent être un peu élevés. Donc il faut de l'equity.
I do know that across Africa, some work is being done in terms of asset managers coming together, in some cases forming a consortium to see how they can invest across Africa.
It's almost a known fact that Mauritius is considered the financial hub of Africa.
Mauritius is an attractive place to come. The infrastructure is here, the ecosystem is here in terms of the regulatory framework, capabilities of the local well-educated workforce.
Private equity funds in South Africa and other African jurisdictions having their private equity funds domiciled in Mauritius, which is confirmation of the confidence and trust that other African jurisdictions have on Mauritius.
Le gouvernement actuel a bien compris et il s'agit maintenant pour nous, pays africains, de faire ce même pas vers Maurice pour que le continent soit fort et qu'on puisse attaquer même les autres continents en termes d'investissement.
I think the message that we heard today from the Minister herself was very encouraging. It was very positive. There will be, of course, more focus on, as you said, specific areas, whether it is cross-border payments, fintech space. I think the ecosystem is here and it's the environment is enabling.
We are working on a robust and strong Africa strategy. We can be a cornerstone of facilitating the investment and cross-border investment, not just in terms of insurance and other products, but in so many other areas.
I'm told that sometimes you get some deals happening right here, so I hope that people are closing deals.
Nous avons même l'intention d'investir dans une banque ici à Maurice, avoir un agrément bancaire avec d'autres acteurs, parce que c'est une place importante. Et il faut qu'on en profite.
We have voted with our money, right? So we're not just saying thank you. We've been consistently supporting this conference, and we believe that Mahad is doing great work with his team, bringing together smart, intelligent industry experts where we can learn and share from each other. And long may it last, and we'll be here next year as well.
We need more of these conferences, and I think the organizer of the event, I think, did an amazing job.
First, I would like to organize more of these events, bring more private equity, DFI, sovereign wealth funds to Mauritius, show them our ecosystem in the financial services of what we have been doing and the experience that we have accumulated here, the diversity of our products, the depth of our knowledge and experience, and the quality of life in the country and the lifestyle in the country, and also show them how we can bridge them and facilitate investment into Africa.
So I think I can see more collaboration in that space. I think this collaboration, this movement needs to continue. What I'm seeing personally is the tailoring of specific products, asset classes, whether it's wealth management, fund domiciliation, fintech, whether it's the payment, that will continue to grow in Mauritius, and we are more than happy to continue to be involved and to support where we can.